Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another brand new Division video. In today's video, it is going to be another weapon versus weapon comparison video. I actually have not done one of these, I believe, previously since update 1.5, so obviously there were some changes to weapons in the previous update, so that might have been 1.6. 1.6.1, then obviously where we're at right now at 1.7. Today we're going to be linking the gear sets that you might want to use with these specific weapons, as well as maybe what modes you might want to be using these builds that you might be going for as well. So hopefully you guys do enjoy the video. If you guys do enjoy it, make sure you guys drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and yeah, get right. So, getting right into the video, as you guys can see right now on the screen, we are going to be comparing the Police Mk17 alongside with the Surplus SVD. Now, these two weapons could be a little bit different if you guys have different variants, so if you have maybe a SOCOM Mk17 or you have a different variation of the SVD as well. I just have the Surplus because I have the blueprint for that. Also, just throwing that out there once again, if you guys are wondering why I have the purple Mk17, is because I have really bad luck with these different kind of weapons like the MK and the SOCOM Mk20. I just have really bad luck with those two weapons, and this is the only one that I could find. It's going to do the job. They have just about the exact same stat wise and whatnot. The damages are just going to be a little bit different for DPS wise because it's going to be a higher class weapon, which is going to be the high end weapon. But for the most part, they're going to be the exact same. Hopefully, I can give you guys some gear sets that I would recommend you guys to run with this. And yeah, we're going to get into the statistics for the two weapons first, and then after that, I'll talk about the gear sets that you guys should be running with them, whether or not it's for PvP or PvE. So, first off, once again, these are both marksman rifle damages, as you guys can see. So obviously, the headshot damages are going to be just about the exact same. The only reason why these two headshot damages are different are because the Surplus is a high-end and the Police Mk17 is a superior. Usually, if you had a high-end Mk17, the headshot damage would probably be just about the exact same, probably like 150 to 160% for headshot damage. So just take that with a grain of salt. That obviously these would be very similar, if not the exact same, because they're both very similar weapons. Going on to the base damage, once again, as you guys can see, not much of a difference really with the damage for the weapon per bullet. 54.4k for the SVD and 52.8k for the Police Mk17. Obviously, as you guys can see, the fire rates are also very similar as well. 275 for the Police Mk17, and the Surplus SVD has 260 fire rate. And then also, the big difference that is the reason why some people choose the Police Mk17 over the SVD is because the 20-round magazine compared to the 10-round magazine with the SVD. When you throw a magazine that is extended mag that has around 110 to 120% on the Mk17, your bullets go from around 39 to 44 bullets per magazine, so that's pretty high for a marksman rifle, if I had to say. Then for the Surplus SVD, you're usually hovering around 30 to 38 bullets usually. Which is still pretty good for a marksman rifle, if I had to say. Obviously, like I said, we're not going to be talking about the talents, but going on to the actual statistics for the weapons, which is accuracy and all that good stuff. The accuracy for both of the weapons are just about the exact same. You guys can see for the Police Mk17, it just has a little bit better accuracy on it. It's not much. You guys might not even be able to see on the screen if you guys aren't looking hard enough, but it does have a little bit higher accuracy. Not by much. You're probably not even going to see the difference anyways. But once again, it does have a little bit higher accuracy than the SVD. The reload speed for these two weapons are a little bit noticeable. If you're running a magazine that has reload speed on it, you might be able to, cover that up a little bit with the Mk17. But for the most part, you're really not going to see that much. It's not going to be the difference between, oh, I'm not going to use this weapon because the reload speed is a little bit faster. It is a little bit noticeable, but like I said, it's not going to be a just tearing factor of not wanting to use the weapon. Now here's the big thing with these two weapons where it kind of separates it from the playstyles, I would probably say. The range with the Mk17 is a lot higher than the SVD, as you guys can see. It's just about 2 times higher on the Mk17 than the SVD, which is a really big factor on how you use your playstyles with these two weapons, which is why I'll be linking some gear sets with these as well in the next section as the video. Obviously with the Mk17, you have to play a little bit farther back because obviously it has a lot higher range than the SVD, although it does shoot a little bit faster, but it does have lower damage. You sort of have to play that, that lurking mode or that lurking role in the game, whether or not it's in the dark zone or the last stand game mode. You have to play a little bit lurking role, sort of sitting back behind cover, just picking off people one by one, maybe damaging them a little bit for your teammates so they can finish them off. But that's probably how I would be using those weapons. But I'll give you guys gear sets once again later. Then lastly, the stability. Once again, you can't really see that much of a difference with stability. They're just about the exact same. But going overall with statistic-wise for these two weapons, they're very, very similar stat-wise. You know, the fire rate is just about the exact same. The damage is the exact same. The headshot damage is the exact same, just about. But the two differences are the range with these two weapons and the magazine size. The range and magazine size are on the side of the Mk17. And then the fire rate and damage are on the side of the SVD. So I guess if you're thinking about it from damage and just pure factor of damage wise, and you know what kind of player you are role wise, the SVD is going to be for the person that sort of plays a little bit faster pace, but still has to sort of sit back and cover and play a little bit slower. And then the Mk17 is going to be that role where you're sort of just lurking behind, maybe at the end of the street compared to playing at the mid street with the Mk17, just specifically because it has a lot more range than the SVD, and it does a little bit less damage as well too. So, and also you have a bigger magazine size as well. But obviously it just depends on the player role and how they play. But yeah, next part of the video I'll show you guys some gear sets and whatnot. And the specific PvP or PvE which you guys are going to want to use as well. So getting into the gear set that you guys are going to be wanting to use with these two specific weapons, I'm going to go towards the PvP side, specifically just because I really do honestly think that these two weapons are a little bit more geared towards the PvP side compared to the PvE side. Not that these weapons are necessarily useless or the gear sets with these weapons are necessarily useless in PvP. I just generally think that, once again, these weapons are a little bit more useful in the PvP side, and also I think there's a lot more different builds that you can come up with and use in the PvP side of the game. So that's the reason why we'll be starting with the PvP side. So the first gear set that you guys are going to be wanting to use with these two specific weapons are the exotic build. If you guys don't know what this build is, it's basically a mixture of high-end pieces and the exotic pieces as well. The reason why I threw this in there first is because I personally think this build is really, really easy to build. All you basically need is a few pieces of the exotic gear. All the rest of that build is high-end pieces, which are really, really easy to get. Obviously, it takes a little bit of rolling and a little bit of crafting if you have the blueprint for all these pieces like I do. I think I'm missing just one piece of the blueprint for all these, but for the most part, I have just about every single piece for this build. But normally with these gear sets and these weapons, generally a lot of people like to go towards the very, very high firearms build and the low toughness and low electronics build. So generally people have around 9 to 10,000 firearms for these builds. If they're having a bolt action, that's usually a one-shot to the head build. And generally, since we're using marksman rifles for this build, it's generally a 2 to 3 hit to the chest or even to the head, depending on how high your firearms are with your build. And then obviously your toughness and electronics are going to be, you know, hovering around 1,800 to 2,500 with this build, because you're going to be basically rolling and putting everything towards your firearms to try to get as much damage and firepower as you possibly can. So the next gear set that you're going to want to be used with these two weapons are going to be Sentry's Call. Obviously, if you guys do not know what Sentry's Call is, it is basically made for marksman rifles. Obviously, semi-automatic weapons are the only weapons that work with this gear set. You can still run them, but they're not going to be in full effect. Obviously, with that 2-piece, you get the accuracy. 3-piece, you get that headshot damage. And then, obviously, that 4-piece, you get the marking system, or whatever you want to categorize it as. I say marking system every time you shoot someone in the head with a marksman rifle. It gives them 1 mark. It lasts for 30 seconds, and that damage inflicted on the target is increased by 5%. And then, obviously, you can get that target up to 3 marks as well. Next, going on to the very last gear set. Now, this is a 50-50 gear set, and the reason why I say that is because I would probably say this gear set might be a little bit more useful on the PvE side as well as PvP, obviously. But if you're on PC, it might be a little bit more helpful as well. But Striker is the last gear set. Now, obviously, this might be a little bit different for you guys if you guys have never ran Striker with marksman rifles. But obviously, you have to be very, very accurate with these weapons. And the reason why I say that is because this gear set is all revolved around stacking and being able to constantly and consecutively hit back-to-back-to-back shots without basically missing any shots. And with a marksman rifle, you don't really have that many chances to miss, especially since it's a single fire. If you miss maybe 1 or 2 shots, it's going to reset that, and it's going to go very, very low, and you're basically going to be wasting the full effect of the gear set. So like I said, you don't have to run it for PvP, but if you're on PC, this would probably be a little bit more useful rather than using it on console, because people are constantly just spamming and running back and forth in circles in PvP. So if you guys want to test that, you can, but I wouldn't recommend you guys using PvP if you're on console, probably only PC. So for the PvE side of these two weapons, obviously the only gear set that I can really show you guys is really the Century's Call gear set. This gear set is basically made for these two weapons in general, to be honest. I know I used it for the PvP side as well, but in reality, this is really the only gear set that I would really use for PvE anyways with these two weapons, so that's the only reason why I'm going to throw this only gear set out there. But if you guys have any other recommendations for gear set that you would use for PvE, make sure you guys let me know down in the comment section below. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure you guys drop a like on it. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Thank you guys for the support. I'll catch you guys in the next video tomorrow. Peace out.